129.
Effective classroom management creates an environment that ensures all learners are actively engaged in learning. This short film highlights a number of useful classroom management strategies illustrated in a typical South African Grade 2 classroom. By using these strategies, the teacher is able to operate in a calm and well-organized classroom. She does not need to impose strict control, as learners know what is expected of them.
You'll figure it out, okay?
It is important to prepare your classroom for the day. This preparation should take place before learners arrive. This will ensure your day runs smoothly. Make sure the daily program is displayed clearly. This shows learners what to expect from the day. For learners who struggle to keep focused, it helps them to know what comes next. In the same way, display the lesson objective so that all learners can read it. It is important for learners to know what they are expected to learn in the lesson. Write up any lesson content on the blackboard before the start of the lesson. This will mean you will not have to turn your back on the class later. Apart from the fact that learners become restless when teachers write on the board, it is also a waste of precious time. This teacher is teaching a dual medium class. She makes sure she prepares the lesson content, lesson objectives, and daily plan in both languages. All learners benefit from this strategy. She also ensures that all the workstations and activities are set up and prepared before learners come into class. Here the teacher is preparing the practical workstation as well as setting out her task cards. All children feel safe in a structured, controlled environment with set routines. This means teaching learners things which they can do automatically without further instruction.
So, after you've done your writing,
it is important to think carefully about the routines you would like to use in your classroom.
The numbers here for you.
Time and effort will be needed in order to plan, teach, and repeat such routines many times. There will be many rewards: time saved, a quiet and orderly class, which is much easier to manage. Next, we are going to look at a number of these routines that this teacher has implemented. Routines are important not only in the classroom but also around the school. Where there is a set routine on how to get to the class, children arrive in a calmer and quieter way. In this school, classes leave the hall in a sequential order. They also have stopping points en route where learners stop and catch up with each other before continuing on. The teacher walks with the learners and shows them into the class by greeting each one at the door. This makes the learners feel welcome. Once inside the class, it is also important to establish the routine for settling down. Children know exactly where to store their bags, when to sit, and what books to take out at the start of the day. These routines need to be practiced over and over again and consistently applied to avoid confusion.
Sit down, take out your homework.
There will be many points during the lesson where you will need to get the attention of your learners. There are a number of fun and different attention grabbers you can use instead of shouting and getting frustrated. Here the teacher is using well-rehearsed actions to get their attention.
Luister. What is the buzzword?
Respect.
Respect. Afrikaans, respect.
At another point in the lesson, she uses a familiar buzzword and also the well-practiced, give me a 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Good.
These all help to focus the learners back on the teacher. Learners enjoy these and respond well to them.
Everybody's falling asleep now. Let's put down your pencils and stand up. Let's go walking.
Learners can get tired of sitting for too long and lose their focus. This teacher takes 2 minutes out of a class time to allow the learners to do some fun movement exercises to get their blood circulating and their brains concentrating. This is a great classroom management strategy.
Groot cirkel met jou neus. Ander kant toe om. En nou is almal wakker. Julle kan maar sit. Sit down.
Changing from one activity to another can be a disruptive time.
Volgende groepie kan gaan. Next group can go.
Here the teacher calls out the predetermined groups to come onto the mat, which they do quickly without fuss. Planning and practicing transitioning routines is very important. You will need to find ways to get learners to move quietly and smoothly between individual and group work, desk and mat work, and different workstations. This school has introduced an effective toilet routine in all of the classes. Instead of disrupting the class to ask for permission to go to the toilet, learners know to stand up, take either the pink or blue peg, give the teacher a thumbs up, and leave the class to go to the toilet. When they return, they put the peg back, wash their hands, and return to their seats. There are 2 pegs each for boys and girls, which means that no more than 4 children leave at any one time. This routine avoids unnecessary interruptions during the lessons. One of the most effective and easiest ways of managing your classroom is to carefully plan the physical setup and where and how learners are seated.
I think you must do
Despite the fact that
first
this
one.
classroom is relatively small, it has been well laid out.
Okay?
The teacher makes good use of the space by grouping desks close together to allow for a mat area and a workstation for practical activities.
En dan gebruik jy jou liniaal om vir juffrou die boek te lees. Hoe is dit dan?
Making sure learners are seated comfortably and correctly is important for learning and well-being. Here the teacher has provided appropriate chair and desk sizes to meet learner needs. She has also made a point of placing learners together so that they can support each other. A learner who is easily distracted is placed in the front of the class. Displaying materials on your classroom's walls serves more than a decorative purpose. It is very affirming to give each learner a chance to have his or her work displayed. It is also a good idea to display valuable teaching aids which reinforce the theme or learning objectives. As a caution, avoid overcluttered walls, as this can be distracting for learners who easily lose focus. It is a good idea to keep the wall space at the front of the class relatively clear so that learners can focus on the teacher and the board. Effective learning depends on the use of good learning support material. A variety of resources should be available in your class. These do not need to be expensive or high-tech, but they should offer different ways of learning. Here the teacher makes use of flard cards, task cards, newsprint, as well as concrete teaching aids. As you can see, there are a variety of different learning activities taking place in this class at the same time. Learners know what is expected of them at all times, whether they are working in groups or individually. Organizing your learners into groups is as much a classroom management as it is a teaching strategy. Here we see how the teacher uses different groupings of learners for different activities in order to ensure all children are actively engaged in learning for the whole lesson.
Pak gou die kaartjies op. Julle pak gou vir juffrou die kaartjies op. So, after you've done your writing, you are going to do your story sum. And then I'll put in the numbers here for you.
The teacher has given instructions for individual work at the beginning of the lesson. Learners know what to do on their own when they are not busy with group work. After she has done this, she can begin with group work. The teacher has previously assessed the ability levels of her learners and divided them into groups accordingly.
My triangles, put down your pencils and you go to the mat. Die 4 kantjies. Ek wil hê julle moet vir juffrou mat toe gaan. Natasha, jy moet
She has named the groups using shapes and not names that indicate strength or weakness, like the tortoise and the hares.
skryf jy dit met hulle. Dat hulle dit neerskryf, hulle moet dink.
Here she works with one of the groups on the mat to reinforce learning.
Neerskryf wat dit is.
At another point in the lesson, the teacher has divided learners into mixed ability groups. Here, one of the groups is working on a practical measurement activity. The stronger learner is assisting the others, but each learner plays a role.
Schrijf 30 klas, daardoor schrijf.
En dan help jy gou.
The teacher has made good use of cooperative learning by seating a stronger learner next to a learner who requires more intensive support. His peer helps him with his work, whilst the teacher is busy with the group on the mat. You will also notice the teacher has pre-prepared a copy of the story sum for the learner, so he doesn't have to write it down from the board.
Just before 30.
For those learners who complete their work quickly, the teacher has prepared additional activities for them to do. The learners select a task card and work together on the task. In this way, these learners are engaged for the whole lesson. The goal of behavior management is to teach children the behavior you would like to see and to help them to manage their own behavior appropriately. The focus here is to show how some good behavior management strategies are at the heart of good classroom
In your
management.
math books and you'll figure it out, okay? Het julle gesien die sterretjies van die dag? Wie is die sterretjies van die dag? Stian, jy het so mooi geskryf gister. Juffrou is baie trots op jou. Jong, kyk hoe mooi het jy gewerk gister. Wat dink jy, wat gaan mamma sê as sy daai mooi ster sien, hè?
The teacher starts the day positively by praising learners for the good work they have done. She is warm, sincere, and affectionate, and the effect on the children is obvious. The teacher takes an opportunity during the life skills lesson to reinforce the positive rules that have been developed for a class.
Nou vanoggend was daar 'n lelike ding gewees. Somebody said a very nasty word to somebody else. They called him stupid. Is that a good thing to do? No. What do you have to always remember? How do you treat other people? Hoe behandel jy ander mense, Lenisha?
She uses an actual incident as a
Do you
teaching
treat somebody
moment.
with respect if you call
The
them
children
ugly names?
understand the rules
Yeah,
and
okay.
what is
So
expected
what
of them.
Are you supposed to do when somebody calls you?
We see this again in the way learners know how to answer questions by waiting their turn and not calling out.
What other thing do we have to do today for you to get super smart? Wat moet julle vandag nog doen om baie slim te raak? Aya? You must listen.
As you have seen in this short film, effective classroom management is about using a number of different strategies, not only one approach.
And erasers go into your pencil bag.
Teachers need to try different strategies until they find the ones that work for them. These strategies are only effective if learners know exactly what is expected of them through consistent application and repetition. Well-managed classes give learning opportunities for all.